most of the time it's not the owners that are doing it. They're taking it into a stereo shop. They're taking it into an automotive repair facility. Like if you go into the dealerships nowadays, they've got it so dumbed down. Welcome back to the vlog, guys. Appreciate watching as always. Check this out. So we got all kinds of stuff going on here, but one thing that it keeps on circling back, which is don't take your $100,000 vehicle or $200,000 vehicle or more and take it to a shop that just screws it all up. Or work on it yourself if you're not qualified to do electrical work. Electrical work is one of the biggest culprits. So check this thing out. This truck came in here for a Duramax conversion. We're wrapping it up right now. We did the paint job on it, but we're now in the stage of cleaning up all the wiring. I don't know who decided to wire this thing up, but literally look at this. You've got one wire that is feeding this whole fuse block here, comes in here, and is this soldered? Oh, so he crimped. Oh, so he put like a ring terminal on there and crimped it. Yeah, like so almost like a butt connector, crimped it, then put heat shrink on there. And at that point, the technician decided, you know what, I probably need to throw a zip tie on top of it to hold it all together. The reason for that is with a little bit of tension here pulling on this guy, it's gonna rip it out. But this is the stuff that we're dealing with on a constant basis, and it's really bad. Look at, you've got exposed wires on this side over here, threw some heat shrink on it. All this is not correct. Most of the time it's not the owners that are doing it. They're taking it into a stereo shop. They're taking it into an automotive repair facility. And that kind of says a lot for the day and age that we're in. We don't have qualified techs at dealerships. Like if you go into the dealerships nowadays, they've got it so dumbed down, it's a computer program that you get into and you say, hey, the truck is pouring out white smoke. What is it? You've got a list of items that it could be, and they tell you to test this, this, and this. And based on that, here's your problem. We just had this issue here, a good customer of ours. We did a Duramax conversion for many, many years ago. He was at a GM dealership getting some service work done on it. Techs finally threw their hands up and said, we don't know what it is. It's got issues. It's pouring out white smoke. And he's like, okay, let me get it down to Predator. He shipped it down here. We got into it, and we were thinking worst case scenario, which is a complete engine rebuild, which you're talking 25 grand or so to pull that engine out, rebuild it, put it back together. Fortunately, we found it was a bad injector. That's all it was. We were able to put a new set of injectors in there, clean out the fuel system, and it's running. It actually just left literally 5 minutes ago. That's an issue that we're facing right now in the automotive industry, is we don't have technicians that know what they're doing anymore. We have technicians that have really zero passion for the vehicle. They get into it, they're like, it's just a job. I just follow the spreadsheet. I replace this. If that doesn't work, I replace this. And at the end of the day, I go home not giving a damn. I mean, this stuff was loosely sitting in there, a disaster waiting to happen. You've got exposed wires. So this thing was loose, wiggling around in here, and it just started breaking these wires off. So literally half the wires are gone. They're broken off. Having done this for 22 years, I know that's not the only spot. Because if you have a tech in there working on this, doing that type of stuff, they're underneath the dash too, and this is where it gets worse, guys. So check this out. So somebody came in here and ran some new wires and literally just ran it around instead of running it through here. Maybe in just a shoddy alarm system install. But up here, you've got the typical alarm system bullshit that they do. Butt connectors completely open. We don't even use butt connectors in the shop here. This is typical. They use electrical tape on here, kind of hold it down. These things are taped together. Like, come on, guys. Look at this. Like, why? And a lot of shops do this. A lot of supposed qualified shops do that too. Look at this. Look at the size of wire here. These two different size wires. It's a 20 amp fuse, which is pretty decently sized, and that wire is probably a correct size. Going to this massive wire here, you've got T-taps oh God, look at this. T-taps everywhere, butt connectors. Don't use T-taps. They threw a T-tap on here, right there, and then they did one here because they're getting the wrong wire. They're just tapping into everything that they can see that's orange. Eventually, oh my God, look at this, Jason. You got T-tap, butt connector, T-tap, butt connector. Oh my God. Why the do they do this? You've got these guys taped together over the top of the fuse. This is so
exposed wires.
Oh my God, I don't know, dude. Fire? I'm assuming one is a power and one's a ground.
And we haven't touched any of the wiring, right?
No. We don't touch anything in here. Everything is done in the engine bay. This is another unbelievable electrical nightmare story. This thing is about ready to catch fire. I'm thankful the truck's here so we can get in here and fix this mess. I guess there's a huge drain on it. There's actually a third battery that's been installed, and it's probably to cover up the fact that there's this drain going on, which you shouldn't have a drain. Occasionally you do have a parasitic drain going on. Typically it's a stereo system or the head unit that does it. It does have an aftermarket head unit over here. And this is the issue. You have this vehicle that's like potentially a $200,000 vehicle when it's all said and done, and it's about ready to burn down because of shoddy wiring in here. Got another one too for you, so check this out. Now this one isn't as bad at all, but there's still issues here. Twisted wire on here, that's dangerous. But the issue that I have too with this is the massive amount of laziness. Like all this wiring here, it's very easy to throw these wiring kits on with lights and just leave this stuff zip tied up. But why? All of this could be cut out. All of this could be cut out. That needs to be fixed, seriously. But it's common practice in our industry, unfortunately, that people are just taking shortcuts every opportunity that they can. I can literally find something on every truck. So a customer brought this down, and I think he had like a coolant leak. We got that fixed. But one of the issues that we saw, everything on the alignment is completely shot. Come over here, Jason. So check this out. Look how bad that is, dude. You're gone. Tread's almost gone here. You got like a 1/16 of an inch here, and you've got 3/4 of an inch of tread over here. Now, let's take this tire up to the front. So a customer brought it to an alignment shop. They did not align it. They just screwed it all up and then threw their hands up. They're like, oh yeah, we can't align it any better than this. Alignment was done recently, and this is how it ended up. Contacted the customer and said, there's no way you can drive this thing home. This is not safe to drive at all. And he lives a couple hours away. So they couldn't replace it. They said they couldn't find the parts. So they just kind of got it close. And this is their definition of being close. And that's an alignment shop. That's what they do. They only do one job, alignments. And they couldn't even get this job done right. We had to call him, let him know there's no way he can safely drive home. I mean, ultimately it's up to him, and he chose wisely to get this thing fixed. We've got a new A-arm going in, or A-arm bushings. We actually had to just do a quick alignment on it to kind of get it somewhat straight, and then check everything out to make sure it's good to go, so we can take it to an alignment shop. We use an alignment shop just down the street, and they get it styled in. But yeah, it's bad. So this is literally every single truck we look at, there's some form of fuckery going on. And the front end was off too. So I'm sure this truck was crab walking down the street, just tearing up this tire. I mean, this is 2 hours of driving. He went from a good tire to that. It's pretty bad. If something doesn't seem right, look right, feel right, where you're going to for repairs, get the truck out of there, because it's not worth it. It's just unfortunate that we live in this day and age where techs are out there, they don't know what they're doing, or people are starting up these shops, automotive repair, having no clue, no understanding, no love or passion for what we do, and they're just trashing vehicles, potentially killing people, burning down trucks. I mean, it happens on a regular basis, and unfortunately, we're seeing that now with the H1s because they're older. They're starting to collect a few years on them. I mean, they're 20 plus years old for most of them. So that being said, we see all these issues that are starting to rise up. Here's another truck. This one is actually pulled from a Hummer repair center with brake lines actually zip tied in place. Brake lines sitting on rotors. This thing was a basket case. And these are supposedly experts in the industry. It's tough to see that, but on a good note is we got in there, we got them all dialed, got them fixed up, and he ended up doing a paint job on it, a bunch of accessories with the LED lights. We did powder coated accessories here, short snorkel, light bar on here, and we're throwing on a winch bumper now. So he first decided to go with the factory winch bumper. It's not necessarily factory, that's a Warren winch bumper. I'm sorry, that's a mile marker winch bumper. It's a hydraulic winch, and it was somewhat factory in the military world. They used a lot of those on Humvees. They adapted it over to the H1 Hummer, and it was on here, and he decided, you know what, let me go ahead and change that, and we're going to our 12K front winch bumper that kind of protrudes out a little bit more tapered, instead of just a flat plate on there. Decided to go that route, which is gonna look really good on here. So in this case, we're retaining his factory winch, and we're just putting the bumper on here. Hey, Tommy. Thomas! Hey, I figured it out, bro. So Tommy and I were trying to figure out a while ago what was going on with the holes on the spring perches, right?
Yeah, all four all the way around.
I figured it out, dude. You got any ideas? Last chance before I tell you why.
No, I have no idea.
And dude, I am so proud of this, man. This is my shining moment today. They tried to put the shock in with the body upside down, and it would hit. It bottomed out. They could not get the bolt in there because the body was sitting over here. So I'm assuming it went in there and hacked up all the upper spring perches. Then put it back in there, realizing, oh crap, it still doesn't fit. Maybe I should turn it upside down. Flips it upside down the right way, put it in there like, oh, okay, that works. And went on his merry meth way. The other thing too is there's multiple cuts. He kept on trying to cut away more and more. And that's why some of the perches have more cuts than other perches. I wonder what went through his head, what went through its head when it realized that the shock was upside down. So we uncovered another mystery here at Predator. After looking at it going, hey, it doesn't fit, I would have been like, hey, Tom CPAC, I got a problem with the shock. Why doesn't it fit? Oh, I got it upside down. Okay, thanks, sorry. Just looking around the shop, every single one of these trucks has little issues. I wanna go over kind of a flow chart and typical diagnosis that most dealerships do, and kind of what we do a little bit different. And this is kind of what we were talking about earlier, that a lot of techs nowadays don't know how to think outside the box. And they go through a flow chart right here, and they're like, okay, we're done. And that actually happened on the Duramax conversion that just left here. It was an injector issue.
Yeah.
And the dealership said they went through it, tried to diagnose it, literally going off of a flow chart much like this, and eventually said, you know what, the engine's shot, we can't help you. Send it back to Predator. We get it down here, and sure enough, it's a bad injector. We went ahead and replaced all the injectors. You should replace all of them at the same time. But we got him back on the road for a fraction of what it would have cost him up at the dealership. And when it was coming down, dude, I was talking to Sanderson, and I was like, I don't want to see this truck down here because it's a big undertaking. You know, split the body
off, motor out,
engine out, lifts down until we get the motor back from the machine shop and reassemble everything and dyno run it. I mean, it's a huge undertaking.
It's a huge
weeks
process,
and weeks, and we lose another lift. So I don't want to do that. Fortunately, it wasn't, and fortunately for a customer, it saved him tens of thousands of dollars.
Oh, yeah.
And that's where the dealership was at. They wanted to just replace it. So, Tommy, why don't you run us through this Snap-on Modus and kind of more or less just a spreadsheet. This just has a fancier layout than most. But
so pretty much if they were to get a truck in, you know, customer complaint, has a knocking noise, low on power, excessive smoke, they would go to a chart like this, and it's going to have you kind of check the basics, look, you know, for tuners, excessive oil, but it's going to overlook, you know, look at your flow rates on your injectors, you know, check your connections, and they're going to think, oh, it looks good, making a knocking sound. They said it's not fuel injectors, the knock is internal to the engine, probably like a rod or something like that. But you look closer and you realize it's not, and you can check temperatures on each exhaust port. You'll see certain cylinders are down and flowing excessive fuel out of that cylinder, and then from there you can catch it's a bad injector and not a bad motor, and being able to distinguish between those sounds.
Tommy found a perfect example that actually relates to what we do, and a very simple failure and repair that's easy to fix.
Yeah.
And a dealership's going to be like, oh, all the injectors are bad.
Exactly.
And which is, you know, thousands of dollars, probably
Yeah.
4 or 5 grand to replace everything.
So most Duramax owners know, and a really common problem with LB7, LLY, and the LBZ is you can get a light fuel knocking, inconsistent, and what the dealership will say is replace the injectors, and they won't fix it from there. And you're just a ton of money on a set and labor. But if you look closely at bad connections there, you can take it out, ice pick it, bend the tank just a little bit, and that connection makes a world of difference. That fuel knock will go away, which would sound just like a bad injector, a stuck injector, but it's really just a simple fix the tanks on the connector there. And maybe an hour fix versus a whole day replacing injectors and the cost of that.
Yeah, and that also comes into experience too. A shop that is specifically working on one application, the H1 Hummer, the Duramax engine, they know what to look for, and they can save a lot of money. Sometimes I get complaints that our prices are more expensive than other people, but the flip side is you're paying for that expertise. So I know this isn't just the H1 Hummer industry only. I know it's in every industry out there, every vehicle out there. Let us know some of your stories that have happened to you with electrical work or repair shops, shoddy repair shops. It's pretty crazy out there. So thanks for watching as always. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. See you guys soon.